owns a plant nursery and wishes to build a high-sloping rock garden which falls away to the pot in order to display various types of the rock plants and water lilies. The construction of the sloping rock garden can, the cross-section can be modified by this equation. Okay, so we have y equals x cubed minus 3x squared minus x plus 3. That's what the cross section looks like. With domain, okay, this is very important. I think that might be the first time you see this word domain. Okay, domain means the possible x values. Okay, the possible x values. So what x can take? X can only take minus 1, 2, 3. Even though this is a graph like keep forever, but we will stop it at negative 1, 2, 3. So first question asks you to use CAS calculator to factorize the equation. Factorize this equation. So what I will do first is, okay, I'm not sure if you remember how to define a function. Do you remember like the function I said to define a function? Why I was to define it? If you realize this function appears a lot of times in the question, you will use this function a lot of times. So I don't want to type it every single time. I want to give that a name, and every time I say fx, that means this function here. So what I will do first is, sorry, no, that's the Chinese. Okay, x cubed minus 3x squared minus x plus 3. Okay, so that's the function. If you can see what I'm typing here, that's the function. I will define it. How to define that is press the control. Can you see the control above the equal sign? And after you press that, okay, and hold it, and press the button above 9, VAR. Okay, control and then VAR. You have an arrow here. Okay, this arrow means define. Okay, define this as what? The variable is x. So I will define that as, well, any name, f bracket x. Well, you can say g of x, you can say h of x, anything you like. So I will say that's f of x. After you learn the polynomial topic, you should know what's fx, right? It's the same as y, but indicate that x is the variable. And I'll press enter. Okay, press enter. You have the work done. Okay, so now every time you press fx, it means that function. Okay, it is that function. So what you're trying to do now is to factorize it. Okay, how to factorize it is menu, algebra number 3, and then the factor number 2. Okay, menu 3, 2 is the factor. Okay, wants to factorize it. Okay, we want to factorize what? Okay, you can type x cubed minus 3x minus 3x squared minus x plus 3 in. But because we have defined it, it's easier. I can just type that's fx. And you can see there's a bold x, like it's a highlight f. Okay, so that means it's already defined. That's with some meaning of that f. And then press comma x. Well, comma x means solve for x, factorize regards to x. So it's just an instruction. Tells the calculator x is my variable. And press enter. You can see the factor for you. Okay, it's factorized for you. You can see all the factors here. So the factor is x minus 3, x minus 1, and x plus 1. And also you should be able to factorize it by hand. Okay, you have learned that you should be able to factorize by hand. But because we have CAS, we don't need to do that. So I can easily write y equals to x minus 3, x minus 1, and x plus 1. Okay, 1 mark, very easy. Okay, hence state the coordinates of the x-intercept. Well, if you also, what's the x-intercept? You can see very easily from the above function because it's in the factorized form. So it's 3, 0, 1, 0, and minus 1, 0. But you need the coordinates. Okay, you need the coordinates. So how to solve x-intercepts by calculator? How to solve x-intercepts by calculator? I can go for menu 3, 1. Let's say suppose we don't know what is the x-intercept, how to solve it by CAS. I can go menu 3, 1 to solve. Okay, and then fx equals to 0, comma x. This means the function equals to 0, y equals to 0, solve for x-intercepts. And then I will have x equals to minus 1, x equals 1, and x equals to 3. They are the x-intercept. But I don't really need to, okay, I don't really need to for this question because it's in the factorized form, I can tell the x-intercept directly. Okay, to sketch the graph, over the domain x in between -1 to 3 inclusive, okay, -1 to 3 inclusive. Let's go to the graphing page, okay, graphing page. Okay, I'll press that. I want to sketch a function, okay, graphing page is do not use the scratch pad, okay, again, do not use the scratch pad. Use the two functions at the bottom, the two square at the bottom. One is with the division sign, the calculator one, and the next to it is the graphing one. You need to have exactly same page as what I have now. What I want to sketch, I want to sketch x cubed minus 3x squared minus x plus 3, but because that has been saved as fx, so I want to sketch fx. I can just type fx there. You can type x cubed minus 3x squared minus x plus 3, no problem for that. But what I want to say after that is which part of the graph you want to see. You only want to see from -1 to 3. I can restrict it directly, not showing the rest of it. So how to restrict your domain, how to restrict the x you want to sketch is the control and equal sign. Okay, you will have a button. Control and equal, most left hand side, control and equal. You will have something like thing like this. I want the last one, the vertical bar, okay, the vertical bar, this one. Telling the calculator, now I will restrict my domain. What's my domain is -1 to 3, so I will have -1. Press that again, control equal to select the smaller equals to x. And then go through that again, control equal, smaller equals to 3. Okay, I want -1 to 3. Okay, so after the bar is your domain. Okay, so x is in between -1 to 3. And what I want to sketch, I want to sketch fx. Press enter, you have this graph here. This graph here. Well, this graph is quite clearly seen, like, it's quite clear, I can see it. Okay, how about if I can't see a full picture? How about if I can't see a full picture? Or you can say, this is quite small, this page is too big. Okay, this page is too big. So what I can actually do is menu number 4, window zoom, and number 1 to do window settings. Okay, my minimum x, I know my minimum value will be -1, but now I'll put the -2 to give a little bit space. And I need a 4, 5 here, so just make sure it looks better. Okay, this page fits it better. You don't need to, but in this case you don't need to. But if you have a graph which is out of the page already, you need to adjust that to make it visible. Okay, to make it visible to you. So the graph looks like this. Also, it asks me to label what? To label the coordinates and the turning points. Okay, the coordinates of intercepts, endpoints, and turning points. Can you see here? The Y-intercept is not the turning point. Okay, can you see on my graph? Okay, very important. The Y-intercept is not the turning point. The turning point is here, but Y-intercept is here. Y-intercept is lower. So how to find turning points? How to find turning points? This one is a maximum turning point. Okay, maximum turning point. I'll go menu number 6, analyze graph, and maximum. I have a dashed line here. Can you see that? You can move it on your square pad. You make this line to the left hand side of the maximum point first, and press enter, and then move the line to the right. But again, you can move it somewhere, but you can't move it to here. Okay, you can't move it too much. What all you want to do is you just want to include that maximum point in it, and you press enter again. This will be the value. Okay, this will be the value. To 1 decimal places is -0.2, 3.1. One more thing I would like you to do now. Okay, everyone stop what you're doing. What I want you to do now is go menu in this page. Okay, go menu. Number 9, setting. Okay, everyone needs to do this now. Menu, setting. Okay, setting, go setting. Change the first one to anything above 5. Okay, float 6, float 7, but you need to change to a higher float. I put it 7, like it doesn't really matter. And then just press the tab button. Okay, tab, and make default. Can you see the bottom? Make default. That one, and press enter. And then press OK, applying the setting to open document and save them as default for new documents. So just press OK for that. Now you don't need to worry about anymore. Like your float is 7, which means you can show 7 decimals, so 7 digits, which is enough. Okay, which is enough. If your float is 3, it's not enough. Okay, if your float is 3, you can't show. For example, if question asks you to show 4 decimal places, but you only have a float 3. What's the rest? You don't know what's the rest. So you need to set a higher float here. So now you can see I have more decimal places and I can round it now. So round it to negative 0.2 and 3.1. What's the y-intercept for this question? What's the y-intercept for this graph? 3. Okay, I don't need to see y-intercept on this graph. Okay, I can't really find y-intercept on this graph. You can just sub x equals to 0 in. Okay, sub x equals to 0 in. And then you can find the y-intercept. Okay, similarly, how we find the minimum. Okay, sorry, I need to go a little bit faster. Okay, so minimum is go analyze graph and minimum. I will upload the video tonight, so if you miss any part, you can go back to watch it. Every calculator instruction will show on the page, so you know where to go. So go minimum, I will go to the left-hand side of the minimum point and then go to the right-hand side of the minimum point. So I will round it to 2.2 and negative 3.1. Okay, negative 3.1, that's the minimum. So that's how you will sketch your graph. I'm not going to sketch it again. Also for this 3x-intercept, that's the minus 3, 0, that's the 1, 0, and that's the 3, 0. You need to label them.
You read the 1.1 and the 1.2.
Where is it?
How do you delete it?
Where is it?
They're like next to doc on the left. You have like
that one?
How do you delete it?
Okay, if you also delete the page, go Control and up. You will see all the page here. Okay, Control and up. You will have all the open doc listing here. Which one you don't want? Just press the delete button, DEL, the right hand side. The open above the open book, and you can delete all of it. Okay, but do not delete the useful one. You will delete, you're not going to come back. So, and then you can also adjust like left hand side to decide which one you want to open. For example, I go 1.1, I will open the calculator one. Yeah. And if you press Control left and right, it will move to different doc. Okay, Control left and right. So Control left, it will move to the left. Control right will move to the right. So if I go Control and right now, I will go the 1.2. Okay, so that's my graph. Okay, so I need to label. Also, how to find x-intercept. Let's assume we don't know what's the x-intercept. Okay, I want to find x-intercept. What I will do, I can see about 3 x-intercept here. So I just show you how to do y. It will be all the same. So go menu number 6, analyze graph, and go 0. Okay, go to 0. So to find x-intercept, I want to, for example, find the middle x-intercept. I just found it in the middle. So same way as how you find minimum, maximum. Go to the left, enter, go to the right, enter. But just found this area with 1 x-intercept. Do not cover 2 x-intercept. It doesn't work. Just have that area have 1 x-intercept in it, and you have 1,0 here listing for you. Okay, but that's not really surprised me because I know that's 10. But if you don't know what's the x-intercept, you can find it by this way. But the calculator page cannot find y-intercept. Okay, it can't really find y-intercept for you. So, but y-intercept is very easy. What you do is, okay, what do you do for y-intercept if you really don't know what to do? I can go f bracket 0, sub x equals to 0 in. Is solving for y-intercept, and then press enter. That gives me 3. So 0,3 is my y-intercept. Okay, I know what's 0. Okay, I know x equals to 0. I will have my y-intercept. So in this function, I will sub x equals to 0. I have the y value, which is 3. So it's f bracket 0, and then the value you have out is your y-intercept. Okay, so move on to the next one. Well, I need to be a little bit faster. What is the maximum depth of the pod correct to 1 decimal places? Well, the depth is here. Can you see my thing? So it's 3.1 meters. Okay, that one, that is the depth. Okay, that's the depth. So that's 1.1 meters. Well, 3.1 meters. So because I find out the minimum turning point, so that's from the ground is 3.1 meters. Okay, the next one. The water nozzle is installed on the rock garden at the point with coordinates 1/2 and 15/8. Okay, I want to see whether the 1/2 is, okay, I will sketch it. -1, 1, and 3. That's the 3. Okay, so my graph is, sorry, it's not very nice graph. Okay, my graph is not very nice. Okay, you sketch more beautiful one. But let's assume that looks like this. And I want to see, okay, point A is 1/2 and 50/8. I want to see whether 1/2 is on this graph. Okay, whether it's on this graph. So what I will do is I will do F bracket 1/2. F bracket 1/2. And that gives me 15/8. So this point is actually on this graph. Okay, the point A is on this graph. So where is this point A? This point A is here. 1/2, 15/8. Okay, so from this nozzle, the water is sprayed in a straight line towards the pot. If the straight line of water has a gradient of -1 and start at point A, find the equation of the line, okay, for the water line. So have a gradient of -1. So that's a gradient of -1. Okay, roughly. So that's how the water will goes. So I will have y equals to -x plus c. Okay, I have y equals to -x plus c. Also, I know the gradient equals to -1. I know a coordinates on this graph. So what I will have is y minus y1 equals to gradient x minus x1. I can substitute to find c. That's one way to do it. Or I can use this equation to do it. So they will have the same result. And in the end, I will have -x plus 19/8. Well, if you simplify it and if you work out the c value, you will have this question. You will have c equals to 19/8. So this is the solution. This is like more about understanding what you're doing. So this is how the water will go. Okay, that's how this water will spread, and is that follow that line and start from point A. Okay. Isabella now adjusts the angle of that, and so that it spread the water in that curve. Okay, in the equation, in this equation, y equals to ax times x minus 2 times x minus 5. What kind of graph is this one? What kind of graph? The previous one is linear. What's this one? Quadratic. Is that quadratic? Cubic. 3x. Okay. A times x is 1x, x minus 2 is another x, x minus 5 is another x. So it's a cubic over domain 1/2 x, 1/2 to 2. All right. So first one is show that a equals to 5/9. Given that you will still start with that point. Okay, you will start like the water still start with that point. So what I will do? Okay, what I will do is sub x equals to 1/2, y equals to 15/8, because I know this is a point on that graph, okay, on this function, because it starts from this point. So 15/8 equals to 1/2 a times 1/2 minus 2, 1/2 minus 2 and 1/2 minus 5. Our times 2 first is 15/4 equals to a times, they will both become negative. That's 3/2. That's -9/2. So 15/4 equals to 27/4 times a. A equals to 15 over 4 times 4 over 27. A equals to, that's 5, that's 9, 5 over 9. Okay, 5 over 9 is the A value. This is a show that question. A show that question is the same as find A. Okay, show that A equals to 5 over 9 is the same as work out what is A. And you know what your answer should be. So show that question doesn't mean you can use the A directly. You still can't touch this A. But you need to use your own way to find out what is A. The only difference is you know what the answer should be. Okay, in the end, your last line should give A equals to 5 over 9. Okay, I have A here. Now the next question I think is with a lot of problem because we don't know what it's asking. Okay, show that the water spray will hit the surface of the pot at its center. Where is the pot, everyone? Where is the pond? Okay, I'll use a black color. This is the pot, right? Where's the center? This is 1, 0, right? This is the 3, 0. Well, do not think about turning point. The surface of the pot is middle is the 2. So I want to see the water spread can actually hit this point. Okay, it's actually hitting this point. Can you have a water and hit that point? So what I will do is I want to first of all tell you what's the water spread, like what's the curve of the water. Okay, so I will sketch another graph on the same set of the axes. So what I will do, I will press the button tab in order for me to enter another curve. Okay, press the tab button, you have F2X. What I'll put in is 5 over 9 times x minus 2 times x minus 5. Okay, don't forget you want to restrict the domain. Okay, you want to restrict the domain. You will press Control and equal to have this bar here. And what's my x value? My x value is 1 over 2. And then Control equal again. Have the smaller equals to x. And have that sign out again. And have 2 is my. Okay, so restrict the domain. Okay, restrict the domain. Press enter. Okay, see a red curve. If you're annoyed by this, you can press the middle of the button, have the hand hold, and then move it. Okay? You can move all of this. See how water goes? See, the water is like, it's not straight that way. It's a curve. Okay, it's a curve. Well, water normally won't go that way unless it's a really, not really looks good. So it's always spread like that way. So this is how the waters pass. Okay, this red one is the waters pass. Okay. It will hit somewhere, right? It will hit somewhere, but I don't know where it hits yet. So what I will do is solve the red graph equals to 0 to see where's my x-intercept. So what I will do here is when, oh, sorry, that's not right. When A is 5 over 9. 5 over 9 times x minus 2, x minus 5 equals to 0. Because I want to see where it crossed the x-axis. We have x equals to 0, x equals to 2, and x equals to 5. But because the domain is only a half to 2, the 0 and 5 is not reasonable answer. So the only answer we have is x equals to 2. So I will have 2, 0 is where the water actually hit the surface, and this point is the center. Okay, I can see where it hits the surface. It hits the surface at 2, 0. and that is also the center of the point. So it's 2, 0. So I have shown that it is actually hit the center. Okay, the surface center.
Wait, so don't you say that 2 is the center?
Well, you say that. I'm not going to write it. I said center. Like you say that's the center. Like 2, 0, it hits at 2, 0, and 2, 0 is the center of the point. Yeah? Next one is find the highest point the water spring will reach, correct to 1 decimal places. Well, if you see the graph, okay, if you see the graph, I have 2 graphs on the same thing, and then here is approximately the highest graph, right? Here is approximately the highest point around this area. So I will solve for maximum, but the annoying thing is we have 2 graphs in 1 page now. So if we go menu number 6, analyze graph, and looking for maximum, number 3, maximum. Can you see the left hand side corner is asking you graph, question mark. Okay, graph, question mark. It asks you to tell them which graph you're looking for maximum. So you will move, okay, move here to click on the red graph. Okay, so move this hand, click on graph 2. Can you see graph 2? Click on that one. And then the line will come up. Okay, you have this line here. You are looking for maximum for the red one. You can ignore the blue one now. Like the calculator won't see the blue one. So you will move this to the left hand side of, well, you can move to even further left hand side and then move to right hand side. This is the maximum turning point. Okay. Correct to 1 decimal places, 0.9, 2.3. Okay, 0.9, 2.3. Correct to 1 decimal places. You can graph it, and and then you can see what's the maximum turning point. Because for application question, it's good to have an understanding on what the graph looks like and how physical it means. Okay, so water go that way, the cross section looks like that. You need to see it. So the answer here is 0.9, 2.3, but it's only ask you for the highest point. So you will say highest point is 2.3 meters. Okay, highest height is 2.3 meters. Okay, the next one. Okay, I need to be quick. Isabella wants to move the position of that and then to point B with which coordinate 3/2, y. So on this graph, I want to move to another point B, but I don't know. I only know the x value is 3/4, but I don't know what's the y value of that. But that's very easy. Okay, that's very easy. Back to the graph page. Back to the graph page. I just need to type f bracket 3/4. Because that means when x equals to 3/4 and y value equals to what? Press enter, I have 63/64. So y equals to 63/64. But you need to remember what you define the function as. You define the function as fx. So that's 63/64. Use the CAS calculator to find px times x minus 1 in expand form, given that px is this one. Okay, px is the original one. Remember, px is what you have before. Okay, it's the fx we stored. This is the fx we defined before. This is the function. And you want my function times by x minus 1 now and want the expand form. So what I will do is there's an expand function in your calculator. Menu 3, okay, menu 3 is the expand function. Have expand there. So my function is not saved as px. My function is fx. So I will press fx times bracket x minus 1. Okay, fx times, I'll just make it higher for you to see it. Okay, expand fx times x minus 1, I have that. I just copy this answer down. Okay, just copy whatever you have on the calculator. So it's x to the power 4 minus 4x cubed plus 2x squared plus 4x minus 3. Okay, on the other side of the pond, Isabella is building a garden. The area of the garden A is given by this equation. Okay, the area of the garden is given by this equation here. So I just have a garden and I have X and A relationship as that. Use CAS calculator to express the equation for the area in the turning point form. Hence, find the maximum area of the garden and the value of X for which this occurs. Okay, so what I want to find, reading this long question, what I'm trying to find? Turning point form, right? Turning point form, like turning point and then to find turning point form, then to find turning point. So have your calculator out. I will go menu number 3, algebra, and then number 5, complete the square. Okay, you want turning point form from a quadratic, you go complete square. Okay, complete square bracket. What complete square you want to complete is minus 3 over 2 times x squared and plus 10x. And remember comma x. If when they say to field argument, basically you forgot the comma x. What is your variable? You need to indicate what's your variable. And the way we indicate that's the variable is always the comma variable. Okay, comma x, comma y, comma a. And then press enter. You will have the turning point form given to you already. Okay, that's the turning point form. I just make it high. Oh, it can't really, that's too big. Just. But like, you're not going to just copy exactly the same thing because it not looks very nice. But what I will do is, that's a minus 3 over 2. Okay, a equals to minus 3 over 2. That's the coefficient here and here. Bracket x minus 10 over 3 squared. And plus 50 over 3. Okay, it's exactly the same thing from the calculator, but I just analyze it in a different way. Okay, just write it in a different format. All I do is I swap the order. Okay, I swap the order and make the minus 3 over 2 becomes the coefficient. Okay, makes it to the coefficient. So I can see my turning point is 10 over 3, comma 50 over 3. And this is the x value to make it occur. This is the A maximum. Because you can see your graph is a downwards direction because of the negative, so you will have a maximum. So the maximum turning point is 10 over 3, 50 over 3. The x equals to 10 over 3 will have the maximum area occur. The maximum area is 50 over 3. Okay, it's 50 over 3. Find the exact area of the garden if x equals to 5 over 2. Okay, so what I will do now again is I will, you know what? This is exactly the same thing as what you have in the bracket. So I will just copy this down and then press Ctrl VAR. Okay, you move up, highlight that, press enter to move it downwards, Ctrl VAR to have this arrow and make an A bracket X. Because this is called AX. This function is AX, area relate to X. Press enter, it will say done. Okay, so lowercase a is no problem. I want to substitute what? I want to substitute 5 over 2. Okay, I want to substitute 5 over 2. I will go A bracket 5 over 2. Okay, A bracket 5 over 2. When x equals to 5 over 2, give me the value of A. I press enter, is 125 over 8. So I will write A bracket 5 over 2. That equals to 125 over 8. But what? You need to store it as AX first and then do that. If you don't store, you don't define the function, you won't have this here. Okay, so you need to make it defined and then sub values in. Okay, that's the substitution for that. And if you can see the next one, okay, sketch the area of A versus X on the axis below. Show the exact coordinates of the X and Y intercept and turning point. Okay, you know what I will do? What I will do is open another graphing page because it's a different question. It's not the same question as the point. So for F3X, what I will do is I press A bracket X in. Okay, A bracket, that's the quadratic I want to sketch. Press enter. Can you see this graph doesn't fit? Can you see my graph doesn't fit? It not looks nice. I can't see my turning point. Do you think I need to go a little bit higher or lower? Which way I need to move? I need more space on top, right? And like I will press menu, number 4 and number 1 to window zoom. Well, the negative, the X, I don't think there's much problem. It's just the Y max is not great. So I will change it to, what's the maximum? Do you remember what's the maximum? Last question. 50 over 3. What's approximately? Give me an integer number. Well, 20 will work, right? 20 will work. Like I want to leave a little bit space. I don't want to just there. So press enter. Can you see this graph looks much better? Okay, this graph looks much better. And also, do you think you need more space on the right or do you need more space on the left if you want to change it to the center? Right, okay, you don't want much space on this side. So I can change it again. So for 1, I don't want minus 10. I want, for example, minus 2. Okay, you graph change it to the right hand side. Like it's more centered. This graph looks more beautiful here. But you are talking about X is the length of something, A is the area of something. Your graph can only exist in the first quadrant. Do you agree with that? You can't have second, third, fourth quadrant because you have negative, negative, and negative. You don't want negative of X or negative of A because they are all length or area. They are all measurement values. I can't have negative. So the thing is I need to find the X-intercept. Okay, I need to find the X-intercept. So I will go menu, analyze the graph, and go zeros. Lower bound for this one is, well, very obvious, 0, 0 here. This one's easy. And if I go this one, okay, be careful here. If you go analyze 0, I want to analyze this one. I have that. What's one of the disadvantage, a huge disadvantage for this graph, like for graphing, okay, so to find coordinates on the graph page is it's not going to give you exact values. This is a 20 over 3, but it's not going to give you exact values, okay? So you can only have decimals on your graphing page. It's not going to give you exact anyway. If it's a fraction, it will divide it and give you decimals. You can't have exact value. And in this question, it asks for exact coordinates. It's not asking for decimals. So you can't have 6.6667 here. What I will do is I will solve this point in the calculator page. Okay, in the calculator page. I will go back to the calculator page. I will go menu number 3 and number 1 to solve. I want to solve for what? I want to solve for X-intercept. I will make A bracket X equals to 0, comma X. AX equals to 0, comma X. Press enter and make it higher. So X equals to 0, X equals to 20 over 3. In calculator page, I can work out the exact value, not in the graphing page. Okay, you're not going to find exact points in the graphing page. Well, if it's good numbers like 3, 5, like good, you will have that value. But if it's decimals, you will only show rounding values, not exact values. So now I can see what my graph looks like. The only part makes sense is this top part, okay, this top part. Also, I know what's my turning point. My turning point was found in the previous session. So what I will sketch here is open circle here, open circle here, and I have 10 over 3, that's 3.333 here, and then 50 over 3 is 16 point something. Here is my turning point. This will be the shape of my graph. symmetrical. Okay, 20 over 3 comma 0, 0 comma 0, and then 10 over 3 comma 50 over 3. I can't have the rest of the graph because they either x is negative or a is negative or both negative. It doesn't make sense for measurement values. And open circle is because you won't have zero area. You will have some area. You're not going to build a zero area for anything. Okay, that's my graph. That's my graph. The thing you need to learn from this example is you're not going to have exact fractions from the graphing page. If you want exact values, you need to go to the calculator section and solve for things. And you will solve out exact value. Okay, next one. A horizontal straight line with equation y equals to 10 intersects the graph with equation blah blah, that one. Okay, y equals to 10 is here. It's not straight. Okay, it intersects 2 points here. You can see that. Okay, you can see 2 points here. Y equals to 10. That's y equals to 10. You don't need to sketch it, just show you what's going on. Use the CAS calculator to find the exact coordinates of the point of intersection. So what I want is basically AX equals to 10. Do you agree with that? Is AX equals to 10. So very easy. Go to the calculator page. I can basically copy the previous line and change the 0 to a 10. That equals to 10. Okay, can you see I solve AX, menu 3 want to solve, and AX equals to 10 comma X. That's my 2X value. The Y value is 10 because it intersects with Y equals to 10. So I can just copy this down. Okay, I can just copy this down. Or if you like, you can expand. But overall, I will have minus 2 bracket root 10 minus 5 bracket over 3 comma 10. Because I need the coordinates, I need to have the comma 10. And I have 2 bracket root 10 plus 5 over 3 comma 10. You can expand. You can say that's minus 2 root 10 plus 10. That's 2 root 10 plus 10 over 3 comma 10. But it's 1 second thing by calculator. I just need to solve it by calculator. Okay, last page. Isabel is very creative and really enjoys mathematics. She imagined to build a roller coaster for her imagery theme park. Well, I'm building a roller coaster here, and that's the path of the roller coaster. The first section of the roller coaster below is showing here. Began with P and finish, okay, and then underground the tunnel and start at Q and resurface at Q. So it's going up and down and underground and then going up back to the ground level. So that's the ground. Okay, that's the ground. The section is given by that equation. Okay, so given by that equation. So use the calculator to find the x-intercept of this. Okay, to find the x-intercept of this. So what I will do is I will define this function because I don't like to type this long equation again and again. So 1 over 720 times bracket x cubed plus 20x squared minus 1500 times x. Okay, finish the bracket. Sorry, let's finish the bracket and then control VAR. Okay, what do you want to name this? I've used F, I've used A. Okay, I can use P. Okay, so P bracket X. Okay, anything. I can give any letter. P comma X. Done. So this function is with name P here. Okay, name P here. And then I want to solve for x-intercept. How we can solve for x-intercept? Y equals to 0. So in the calculator, what I should type? Menu 3 want to solve. What I should type? Yeah, P bracket X equals to 0. And then after that, comma X. Good. Px equals to 0, comma X. I have that. But this question is not asking for coordinates, it's just asking for x-intercepts. So I can just answer like that. What I need to do is, I need to solve that equals to 0. I have x equals to 0. Okay, what's my calculator saying? I have minus 50. What I have is minus 50, comma 0, comma 30. Okay, that's my x-intercept. My x-intercept is minus 50, 0, and 30. The next question is interesting. Hence, give the coordinates of those 3 points. Okay, so coordinates. Well, I need to consider the order. P is the most left-hand side, origin, and then the Q. So I need to specify P is minus 50, comma 0. O is 0, comma 0, and Q is 30, comma 0. Okay, Q is 30, comma 0. Okay, I need to give which point is which one. Okay, I need to clearly state that to get this mark. Okay, next one. Use the CAS calculator to factorize that and write in this particular form. Okay, write in this particular form and hence state what's the value of P and Q. Okay, basically I just want to factorize the PX. Okay, I just want to factorize the PX. So I will go menu number 3 algebra and number 2 factor. Okay, so to factorize what? I'm going to factorize the PX and then comma X. Okay, I'm factorize the PX and comma X. Define the PX and factorize that. So that's what I have. Okay, that's what I have. X over 720 times X minus 30 and X plus 15. Well, it's not exactly the same as the form give to us on the question. So I need to adjust the form a little bit. So I have Y equals to X over 720, X minus 30, and X plus 50. So my P value should equals to 30 and my Q value should be 50. Very obvious. Okay, the minus is minus 30, the plus is plus 50. So P is 30 and Q is 50 in this question. Question? No? Okay, let's move on to the next one. Sketch the graph of the curve with equation. Okay, can we see that? First of all, can we see if on this graph, this is the minus 50, this is the 30, comma 0. What's the domain for x for this question? What's the domain of x? Minus 50 to 30. Okay, so this graph only valid from negative 50 to 30. I'm not going to have anything else. Okay, I'm not going to have the rest of it. So the next question is asking us to sketch that and show all the coordinates. Okay, to sketch that and show all the coordinates. So, okay, so what I will do is I will open another page because it's another question talk about the roller coaster. And what function I want to sketch is the P bracket X. Okay, but even though P bracket X, I want to go control equal to restrict the domain. Okay, my domain is negative 50 to X to 30 because I know the graph stopped there, only stopped from negative 50 to 30. And I'll press enter. Why my graph looks like this? Okay, like so I need to adjust the window for 1. What I need to adjust to X value? Minus what? Minus, give me a value. 60? Okay, 60 will work. And how about the maximum? 14? Okay, that will be fine. What's the Y minimum you might set? I don't really know. Okay, I don't really know what's the minimum. So let's have a guess. What do you guess? 6. On the graph? Well, let's make it minus 60 then. How about the top? Sorry, what? 20? Yeah, let's make a 20. And what's the, you don't know, it's a guessing process, okay? What's the maximum? 70, let's make a 70. That's fine, anything is fine. Just press enter. What do you realize? The bottom is not showing, okay? Can you see the most minimum point is not showing, and the top with a little bit space. So I need to adjust that again to 41. This minus 20 is not enough, but it's kind of correct. So I make it minus 25. Hopefully that should work. Yep, that I can see the whole graph. Even though it's not right in the center, but it would make sense to me. What I need to work out is the maximum point and the minimum point. So I'll go menu number 4 and number 6 and number 3 maximum to work out this maximum. Can you see this is the exact value? That's the exact one. So I just go minus 30 and 50 for that point. And then analyze graph for minimum to work on this one. Okay, this one gives us 16.7, 20.6. Okay, 16.7, 20.6. You need to change it to 1 decimal places because the question asks for 1 decimal places. Okay, 16.7, 20.6. If it's exact, it's alright. I don't need to write like 0.0. But if it's a rounding value, I need to correct to 1 decimal places. So 16.7 and 20.6, negative 20.6. Okay, the graph is what should look like this. And you know this point is minus 50, this point 0, 0, and this point is 30, 0. You need to label them as well. Okay, next one. Isabella has a horizontal stud attached to the track at a height of 25 meters above the ground level. Find the coordinates of the points where the horizontal stud intersects the track, correct to 2 decimal places. Okay, where do you think this thing should be? Well, I will sketch this graph. Minus 50, 0, 0, and then 30. I have 0, 0 here. I have minus 30 and 50 here. And I have 16 point something. That's 10. That's 15. 16 point something minus 20 something is here. Okay, where is that thing? Where is it? Where is the thing they talk about? What kind of line I should sketch here? Give me an equation, the line I should sketch. What equals to 25? Y equals to 25. Like this. Okay. Find the coordinates. Okay, the coordinates where they intersect. So I need y equals to 25 and solve for x. Calculator page. Menu 3.1 to solve. Menu 3.1 to solve. What's the name of this function we stored? Remember? Px. Okay, so we store that as px. Px equals to 25, comma x. Okay, comma x. Press enter. I have this one. Okay, it's not going to be an exact value. It will be a rounding value. And it asks you to round it to 2 decimal places. Okay, how many intersections I will have? 2, right? 2 intersections. So I have. But how many intersections I have here? I have 3. But 1 is out of the domain. I'm not going to have the 35 one because the 35 is not my domain. My domain stops at 30. So the 2 answer will be minus 11.26 and what's the other one? For minus 44.59. Okay, so the 2 coordinates is minus 44.59, comma 25. And minus 11.26, comma 25. That's the 2 coordinates. One thing I want to mention, okay, you shouldn't write calculator instructions on your paper. everything's done on the calculator. Can you see I'm not writing any instructions on my paper? I'm not telling the teacher what function I'm using on the calculator. You just do it. You can do by multiple ways. You can do by hand, I don't care. But as long as you have the answer, that's fine. I just mark for answers. Do not write calculator instructions on the paper. That's something not allowed by VCAL. Okay, it's not allowed by VCAL. The reason is all the different schools using different calculators. There's multiple calculators allowed by VCAL. They don't know all the instructions. They care about is the answer. I don't care what you use, what function you have on the calculator. So just give me the solution, that will be good. Like solve, bracket, that's not allowed. Okay? Okay, last one. Last one. Isabella also adds a vertical one. The vertical has x equals to minus 10. Find the exact height where the vertical intersects the track. So minus 10. Let's have a look at minus 10. Can you see it's this one here? Okay, minus 10. So I need to find the y value. All I need is to find the y value of that function. So what I will do is when x equals to minus 10, and then go to the calculator, p bracket minus 10. I have 200 over 9. Okay, so y equals to 200 over 9. So the exact height is 200 over 9 meters. I'm going pretty fast, okay, I know that, but you can go back to the videos and stop where you need. All the instruction will be inside and you can see everything. Do you have any quick questions? You have 1 minute. Yes?
How will the test go? Like, is it just like an application?
It'll application task exactly looks like this.
Like under test conditions, right?
Yes, yes, everything is the same as a normal test, but you will test those things. Okay?